projections of the cell body. And what they do, say for example, it brings all the signals from the surrounding to the cell body. Then comes the axon. Now see, as I told you, like how when I asked you people, what are the parts of the neuron, you started with axon, isn't it? See, always start with the cyton, then the dendrites, and then the axon. Clear to everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, very good. Now, this axon, it is a long process, or you can say it is a long extension of the cell body. And the end portions of the axon, they have bulb-like swollen structures present. Now, these bulb-like structures, they are known as the nerve endings. And like even though they are bulb-like structures, they have a proper structure which is present in them. And that structure is the neurotransmitter. These bulb-like structures are the storehouse of neurotransmitters. Now, see, in our body, there are many types of neurotransmitter, but one such neurotransmitter, and its name is acetylcholine. Acetylcholine. This is an example of neurotransmitter. Clear? Clear to everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
All right. Okay. Now see, this axon that we talked about, this axon, it is of two types, depending upon the presence or absence of myelin sheath. Now, all those axons that have the myelin sheath present on it, those axons are known as myelinated axon. And those axons that do not have the myelin sheath present on it, so we call it as non-myelinated axon. See, for example, if you see in this particular diagram, do you see these boxes that I've made? Are you able to see it?
Yes, ma'am.
These boxes, they are coverings of the neuron. For example, if this is the axon, so the axon has covering on it. And this covering is known as the myelin sheath. So all those axons that have this covering or the sheath present on it, we call those axons as the myelinated axons. And then there are certain axons that do not have this myelin sheath, and we call them as non-myelinated axons. Is this clear to everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Clear to everyone? Okay, very good.
Yes.
Okay, very good. Now we'll talk about a synapse. See what happens. Yeah, okay, I've drawn it here. See, for example, this is neuron number 1. It has its dendrites and everything, and it is the neuron number 1. Then what happened? Once the first neuron ends, then the dendrites of another neuron starts. Okay, but in between them, there is a gap. Okay, in between each neuron, there is a gap. And that gap is what we call as a synapse, or we can also call it a gap. Now, this is the space between two neurons. It is present between the nerve endings of one neuron and the dendrites of other. Do you see the position, students? Here are the nerve endings, and here we have the dendrites. So, this space is present between the nerve endings of the first neuron and the dendrites of the second neuron. Is this part clear to everyone?
Yes, sir.
Shall I explain it again?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, okay. See, I'll draw a fresh diagram. For example, there is one neuron. Because do you think it will be possible for us to just have only one neuron in our body? Does anyone think that
No.
it will be possible?
No, sir.
See, for example, this is the cell body, and from it is arising the dendrites. Okay, and it has a nucleus. Now, this axon has the nerve endings. Right? It has the nerve endings. Like this. Each axon has these parts. Now, this is this is neuron number 1. Now, this neuron must be connected to another neuron. Why? Because our body is so big, right? It's so like we are so long and everything. So what happens is that this neuron must be connected to another neuron. Now, what happens is that after the nerve endings, everyone knows the parts of neurons now. Because if you
Yes,
don't
ma'am.
understand the parts of neuron, then this whole thing is pointless. So first, you people tell me you've understood the parts of neuron, every single person.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, very good.
Yes.
Now, if you've understood the parts of neuron, then it will be like a piece of cake. See, then after the nerve endings, there is a gap. Okay, there is a gap. Like I am drawing a box to show you that there is a gap. Normally, there is not any box present, but there is a gap. I'll write GAP, gap. And then starts the dendrites of another neuron. Okay. So this gap that is present in between the two neurons, and in between which position? So in between the nerve endings and the dendrites. So the gap that is connecting, or you can say the gap that is present in between the two neurons, that gap is known as a synapse. Clear to everyone?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Hmm. Now
Yes,
what
ma'am.
happened? Okay. Now you people remember. Harshit, what happened? Your mic is not working today. I see that you're typing your answers here. Like your mic is not working. Okay. All right. See, students, now tell me these nerve endings, what do they contain, students? The nerve endings contains dash. What do they contain? Anyone? What do the nerve endings contain? Do you remember the fancy name I told you?
Ma'am, axon.
No, axon is the long portion. I am asking that these bulb-like structures, these are the nerve endings. So what is present inside the nerve ending? That is what I'm asking.
Acetylcholine.
Very good.
Acetyl.
Acetylcholine. Very good. Now see, it is not necessary that it will just contain acetylcholine, but your answer is right. And this acetylcholine, there is a like general term for it, and that is neurotransmitter. Now, if you like look at this word neurotransmitter, what are the things that you can derive from this word? No, Harshit, not muscle fiber. Neurotransmitter. Yes, students. Now, if you see the word neurotransmitter, what do you think this word means?
They
Neurotransmits.
Hmm?
they transport the
Neuro gets
stimuli.
transmitted.
Exactly. Meaning it is, see, from the word transmitter, we know that, okay, something is being transmitted from one neuron to another. And this neurotransmitter means the substance that is responsible for transmission of nerve impulse, isn't it? So these nerve endings, they contain the neurotransmitter. It's like full of it. Now, what happens when, for example, you see, I am showing you with the help of arrows. Okay. Okay. I am showing you with the help of blue arrows. Just 1 second. If anyone has any doubts anywhere, you can stop me. Okay, students? This is a new chapter for you, so you can take your time to understand. It's fine. See, for example, okay, why did I choose blue? Wait, let me choose another color so that it will be different. Green. Now see, this is the nerve impulse. From the external stimuli, it came to the dendrites. Okay. Now from the dendrites, the nerve impulse will come into the cell body. Now from the cell body, the nerve impulse will move towards the axon and then it will go to the nerve endings. Now this transmission till here is completed. Now these nerve endings, meaning see, from one neuron, the impulse has to be transmitted to another neuron. So these nerve endings will release the neurotransmitter. And this neurotransmitter, I'm drawing it with the help of dots. So this neurotransmitter now is transmitting the impulse from neuron number 1 to neuron number 2. And then it comes to the cell body. And then this whole process continues for a long period of time till the receptor organ is acting. Clear, students?
Yes, ma'am.
So see, the synapse is the place where neurotransmitter is released by one neuron and the neurotransmitter is received by another neuron. Now, the axons have swollen endings which
Ma'am, what
contain
is synapse?
synapse is this gap that I told you. Do you remember I wrote a gap here? This gap? You can call it a gap also, or you can call it like the proper name for it is synapse. This gap which is present in between two neurons, that is what we call as a synapse. Clear?
Okay.
Yes. Now, the axons have swollen endings, which we call as the nerve endings. And what they do is that they contain a chemical which is known as acetylcholine, which we have already discussed. And then this is a kind of neurotransmitter. As I told you, there are many other kinds of neurotransmitters also. But for your syllabus, you have acetylcholine. Clear to everyone?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Any doubts? Does anyone have any doubts? You can ask me anything that's coming to your mind. Anything. No one has any doubts? Okay, very good. Now, what is the last thing that you people have written down in your notebooks? Have you
Axon.
written the parts of the
Involuntary activities.
Yes, I can't hear you, dear.
Functions of nervous system, involuntary activities.
Environment, involuntary activity. So you have to write from the fourth point, isn't it?
Mm. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, okay, students. Now you can note down.
Ma'am, can you scroll down?
Everyone's done? Also, students, draw the structure of neuron also, okay?
Okay.
Ma'am,
Yes.
for myelinated and non-myelinated, is it half of the neuron or the full neuron?
The sheath, like, see, the neuron, if it has sheath present on its entire surface of the axon, then that is myelinated. And if it is not present at all, then that is not myelinated. Okay?
So in the diagram, the white ones are the only parts myelinated.
Yes, yes. Meaning, see, since this whole axon is covered with the myelin sheath, this is a myelinated, like, axon. Okay? And if it will be non-myelinated, that not even one will be present.
Okay.
Clear? Hmm.
Yeah.
Ma'am, can you scroll down, please?
Yes, everyone's done?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. No, dear, the diagram will not come for the exam. This exam that I'm taking, this like the diagram will not come. Okay. But once this chapter will be completed, then the diagram, like every diagram which will be there in the chapter, it will come. Okay. For now, you can be tension free. Also, students, the portion for your test is the control and coordination up till what I've taught in the previous class, and the life processes also. Like I have given that chapter because you can revise that. Okay. So like very easy, nice questions from that chapter, and then questions from control and coordination is also there. Clear to everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Also, student, this time, like one thing I'd like to advise all of you, that you people, whenever you like give the test over here in Learnivio, try to give it in such a way as if you're taking your exams for school or some official exam. Treat it with that seriousness so that when the real exam will come, you will do it very swiftly. Okay, so don't take it very light. Answer it nicely with proper, formulated answers, not the ones just like, okay, let's do it and end it. No, pay full, you're like, give it your best. And see, some of you do so well in the exam. Gianna, your papers, when I check your papers, I feel so happy. Your papers are really good. And even Nabila's also. Nabila, your papers are also very good.
Okay, ma'am. Done, ma'am.
Everyone is done?
I'm done.
Okay, very good, students. All right, so we'll keep it till here only for today's class. And in the next class, we'll continue and learn more about what are the different kinds of neurons and how the transmission is happening. Any doubts up until now? No doubts?
No, ma'am.
Okay, okay, students. All right, I'll meet you in the next class, everyone. Okay.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, bye.
Ma'am,
Hello, am I audible? Hello, am I audible?
yes, ma'am.
Okay, you were there in the previous class also, right?
I don't think so, ma'am.
You weren't there?
I for batch classes,
Yeah,
not
you were
regular.
there in the batch, right? Hello?
Ma'am, for batch classes, not for regular classes.
Yeah, okay. Okay, and you've had a class with me before?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so what is the last thing that I taught to you?
Ma'am, now only. This was the first topic.
Yeah, the control and coordination, right?
Yes, ma'am.
That is what I'm saying. You were right now there in the previous class, like right now that I did the class, isn't it?
Okay. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So you weren't there for the introduction of the chapter, right? Like, have I discussed the introduction of the chapter with you?
Ma'am, ma'am.
I can't hear you.
Ma'am, this chapter only, right?
Yes, yes. In this particular chapter, like control and coordination, have I discussed the introduction of the chapter with you?
No, ma'am.
Okay, okay. Okay. So we'll start with the starting part of control and coordination. Is this is there any other chapter you want to study, or is this chapter fine?
Ma'am, this is fine, ma'am.
This is fine. Okay. And which chapter is currently going on in your school?
Ma'am, control and coordination.
Oh, this is only going on.
Ma'am, it's finished. Now we are doing revision, ma'am.
Okay, you're doing the revision. Okay. And life processes is done in your school?
Yes, ma'am. Life processes, control and coordination, and our environment. Finished.
Okay, okay. All right. Okay. So let's talk about control and coordination. Now, before we dive in properly into the chapter, we'll talk about some of the important terms that are related to this particular chapter. So some important terms. The first one is stimulus. Now, a stimulus is the, you can say it is the internal or external sudden change that we feel because of which,
Ma'am, can you repeat from starting?
yes, yeah. So I am talking about some of the important terms of control and coordination chapter before talking about the depth of the chapter. First, we'll talk about the important terms. Okay. You don't write down
Okay,
anything
ma'am.
right now. First, you listen, understand, and then you write. Okay. I'll give you the time
Okay,
to
ma'am.
note down. Yes. So, talking about the stimulus, the first word in this chapter that you should know about is stimulus. Now, stimulus, this is an agent or it is a sudden change in the external or in the internal environment of the organism. And because of this change, what happens is that the organism responses, like produces a response. For example, if I tap your back or if I pat your back, you will understand that I'm patting your back. But that patting your back is the stimulus that I'm providing. And then when you turn towards me, you give me the response. And that response is the change in the organism which results from a stimulus. So, two things we have learned up until now. We have learned about the stimulus and we have learned about the response. Yes? Are you saying something, Ryan?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me.
No, ma'am. Nothing. I mean,
Okay. All right. So right now, yeah, as I told you, the first thing there is to discuss is the stimulus and then there is the response. Now the third thing is
ma'am.
the receptor. Hmm?
Stimulus means touching something like body part.
We don't touch it. See, for
What that means?
example, okay, let's just say like for an example, I'm just giving this as an example. For example, you are standing there, okay, and then I come behind you and I pat at your back. So you will feel like someone is patting, isn't it? That is the
Yeah, ma'am.
stimulus.
That feeling.
Yes. The stimulus can be internal also. It can come from inside the body or it can be provided externally as well. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Hmm. And in response to that particular stimulus, a response is provided. Like if I pat your back, you will turn towards me. So that is the response that is provided. Now, the response is the change in the organism resulting from a stimulus. So, response is the result of a stimulus. Then comes the third point, that is receptors. Now, receptors, these are the special nerve cells. What happens is that as soon as the stimulus is provided, then it initiates the impulse. Impulse means signal. The word impulse means signal. So it starts up a signal, and this signal is sent to the central nervous system. Our central nervous system consists of the brain and the spinal cord. So once the stimulus is received, that stimulus is sent to the nervous system, and this receiving is done by the receptor. So as soon as the receptor receives the stimulus, it sends an impulse towards the central nervous system. Now the fourth is effector.
Yes, ma'am.
Now the fourth is effector. What happens is that the response that we show, that response is actually because of the effector that is present in a body. Now, effector can be muscle, effector can be a gland also. For example, if someone is patting your back and you move or you turn around towards that person, so your muscles participated in that, isn't it? So the muscles that are participating and helping you to turn around, those are the effectors. So the muscles, they contract and like produce a response. Now the effector can also be certain glands. Now the glands, they secrete their secretions. So muscles or the glands can be effectors. And what happens? They
Glands means,
produce,
ma'am.
yes,
Muscles. Glands means.
glands are structures inside our body that secrete enzymes or secrete hormones.
Oh, okay, ma'am.
Okay. So either the body can secrete enzymes and hormones, or the body can move with the help of muscles. So this is done like the muscle over here and the gland over here becomes the effector. Any doubts?
No, ma'am.
Okay, Aisha, do you have any doubt?
What is CNS, ma'am?
I'll tell you. CNS is central nervous system. Central nervous system. This central nervous system consists of the brain and the spinal cord. So the brain along with the spinal cord makes up the central nervous system. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, very good. Aisha, is this your first class with me?
Yes.
Okay. Also, which chapter is currently going on in your school, Aisha?
Actually, till now I didn't went to the 10th class. Now it's going to start in June 7th. There is a
Hmm.
summer holidays.
Okay, okay. All right. So up until now, you people have understood everything?
Yes, ma'am.
The stimulus, the response, the receptors, and the effectors. Clear to everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Very good. Now, see, we have discussed about the central nervous system. See, central nervous system, imagine it like the headquarter of your body. Because of central nervous system only, we can understand what is going on like around like us. And because of this particular central nervous system, we can perceive the information, we can bring about the changes also. Clear?
Ma'am, can you repeat?
Yes, I was saying that this central nervous system is the, you can say, headquarter of our body. Meaning this central
Ma'am,
nervous
your
system,
voice is not clear, ma'am.
is it fine now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So I was talking about the central nervous system. Now this central nervous system is sort of like the headquarter of our body. Meaning every impulse that happens in our body, every work that we do, it happens because of the combined effect of the brain and the spinal cord. So these, like the brain and the spinal cord, are the two major components of the central nervous system. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, now we'll talk about the functions of the nervous system. Now, see, the first function of our nervous system is to keep us informed about the outside world with the help of sense organs. Now, how many sense organs do we have, students?
5, ma'am.
Five
5.
sense organs. Name them.
What, ma'am?
Name the sense organs. What are the five sense organs?
Ma'am, eyes, nose, skin, tongue, ears.
Very good. Exactly. So these are the sense organs, and the nervous system, it keeps us informed. For example, we can see with our eyes, we can hear with the ears that we have, we can smell with the help of nose, we can feel with the help of skin, and we can taste with the help of tongue. So we are informed about the outside world with the help of these five sense organs. Now, apart from that, the central nervous system controls the voluntary activities, meaning all those activities that are under our control are the voluntary activities. For example, you can run whenever you want to, you can walk whenever you want to, you can talk, you can write, all of these things which you can do without the help of, or you can say which is under your control. You can do it when you want to do it. So those activities are known as voluntary activities. So our nervous system controls the voluntary activity. Now, if I ask you to stop the beating of your heart, will you be able to?
No, ma'am.
Okay, if I ask you to, like for example, I give you some food and when you are swallowing it, then I ask you to stop. Like once the food is going through your this esophagus, the food pipe, then I ask you to stop it. Will you be able to do that?
No, ma'am.
No,
No.
right? So all of these activities or functions of our body which we cannot control, which is not under our will. So we call them as the involuntary activities, such as the beating of the heart, the breathing, then the food pushing down through the alimentary canal. All of these activities are involuntary activities and we cannot control it. But because of that, we have a proper nervous system so that we can regulate the activity of our like involuntary and voluntary activities both. And the last thing is that the central nervous system, or you can say our nervous system in general, it helps us to remember, it helps us to think, and it helps us to reason. All of these are the functions, the most important functions of the nervous system. Any doubts up until now?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
All right. Now moving forward, see, the structural and functional unit of our nervous system is the neuron. Just like how, what is the basic unit of
What, ma'am?
life, students? The structural and functional unit of our nervous system is the neuron. The word is
Yes, ma'am.
neuron. Yes. And can you tell me what is the structural and functional unit of life?
Structure and function unit of life.
Yes,
Ma'am,
life.
cell.
Very good. Cell. Cell is the structural and functional unit of life. Same way, the structural and functional unit of a nervous system is the neuron. Clear? Okay. Now, students, you note down till here and then we'll move forward.
Ma'am, should we write this?
Yes, yes. Now you people note down everything that is written. You take down the notes. Okay.
Should I make the new notebook or in the old bio notebook, my school bio notebook?
You can make a separate notebook for your tuition classes.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah. And see, when like this is to both of you, when you people are noting down, first you read what is written, understand it, and then you note it down. If you have any doubts, then ask me. I'll explain again. Okay.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, can you do down?
Yes, both of you are done.
Yes, ma'am. Fifth point I want to write, ma'am.
Ma'am, which one is the fourth one? Because I can't see that.
This one, the effector. This
Yes,
E
ma'am.
F F.
Effective.
Yes, effector.
And because that recording that sign is coming there. Ma'am, finish. Do we have to write the two components of CNS?
Yes, yes. Write down the two components also. You have to write down till like whatever I've taught. Okay, whatever is there, everything you have to note down.
Okay, ma'am.
Completed, ma'am. Completed, ma'am.
Okay, everyone's done.
Yes, ma'am.
Ryan, what about you? You are also done?
Yes, ma'am. But that, ma'am, think and what is that?
Reason.
Yes, ma'am. Then
All right. Okay, so now we'll discuss more about the neuron. Now see, the structural and functional unit of our nervous system is the neuron, and this neuron is because of which we can do all of the above things. All of these things are possible because of the neuron. Now, one neuron has three main parts of it. The first part is the cell body, which is also known as a cyton. Now, this cell body, this part is the cell body, this one. Now, the cell body, it contains a well-defined nucleus and a proper cytoplasm is also present in it. Now, do you see these branch-like structures, students, in the diagram?
Yes, ma'am. Dendrite.
Yes. Yeah, very good. These branch-like structures which come out of the cell body is known as the dendrites. These are the dendrites. And then there is the axon. Axon, which is this long portion of the neuron, and it is the long process or long extension of the cell body. Now, the end portion of the axon, they have swollen bulb-like structures present, and these bulb-like structures are known as the storehouse of the neurotransmitter. And the
Ma'am,
neurotransmitter, which,
ma'am,
yes,
it's also known as nerve ending, right? Nerve ending.
yes, yes, it is known as nerve ending. It can be called as nerve ending. It can be called as the swollen bulb-like structure also, but the name is nerve ending. So these are the nerve endings. Okay, now what happens is that in this particular nerve ending, there is the presence of certain chemicals that we call as the neurotransmitter. And these neurotransmitters, what they do is that they transmit the impulses. Now, axon, this axon that we talked about,
Ma'am, what
depending
is
on
impulse?
impulse means the signal. Now, these
Okay.
axons, when the myelin sheath is present on them, the axons are known as myelinated axon, meaning these structures that you see here, these structures, when they are present on the axon, we call that kind of an axon as a myelinated axon. And the axons that do not have the myelin sheath present on it, that is what we call as non-myelinated axon. Clear, students?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now
Ma'am,
you
what
people,
does
yes?
myelinated do?
See, myelinated, see, there is a sheath, a layer which is known as myelin sheath or myelin layer. Okay. So this is like how, what, like normally how, if this is the axon, and when this layer is present like this all over it. Okay, so all these axons that have this myelin layer or myelin sheath present, we call those axon as the myelinated axon. And then in which these myelin sheaths are absent, then we call them as the non-myelinated axon. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Any doubts? Okay, now you people can note this down and also draw the diagram with proper labeling. Okay, because like many a times in like questions in the exam, they ask you to draw a well labeled diagram of a neuron, so you should have like a practice of that. So you draw the neuron diagram also, and then you write down till here. Okay.
Ma'am,
Yes.
ma'am, can you dictate axon part? The end portion of the axon have?
Swollen bulb-like structures. Swollen bulb-like structures, which are
It's
the
O, right?
store swollen.
SWO.
SWOLLEN. Swollen.
Okay, ma'am.